now to take a look at your top fantasy performers. From Week 7 in the NFL, position by position we go, and something to be said about those Lions and their late come-from-behind win at zeros over the previously undefeated Minnesota Vikings. Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown both earning top marks at their position groupings. Josh Allen, your top quarterback, to little surprise, a 2-touchdown performance as he tries to find his footing with some new targets in tow, and it's David Njoku, your top tight end. Our top fantasy analyst, Jamey Eisenberg, joins us now with his reaction to what we saw here on Sunday. And I want to start with Allen tangentially. Amari Cooper fitting into this offense, and in moments, very rudimentary what we saw in terms of route tree and what he was asked to do. He will obviously ramp up into a full playbook. But what did you like from this first look at Amari in Buffalo?
I mean, we've seen Josh Allen struggling the last couple of weeks, and, you know, it's not like Cooper played a lot. I think only ran 18 routes or played 18 snaps. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't checked the full stat line yet, but not exactly involved to what we know he's going to be involved as we move forward. But you saw things open up for Keon Coleman. You saw things open up for Khalil Shakir. I think things will start to get a little bit better for Dalton Kincaid. And they finally have an alpha. I mean, these guys were good players, but they just needed a leader at the front of the band, you know, and Josh Allen's clearly got the ability to make these guys great, and he did for a couple of games. And then you lose Shakir for a game, and you see that Coleman just not ready for the spotlight yet. But I think as a 2 or a 3, or Shakir as a 2 or a 3, or Kincaid is just a complimentary option and a very good tight end, you could just see how this offense has the ability to be so special, and Josh Allen can be one of the best NFL quarterbacks, as we know, and certainly one of the best fantasy quarterbacks. So I'm so excited to see what this offense looks like moving forward, and I think the best is yet to come from Amari Cooper. Oh, by the way, second time in his career he's been traded middle of the season. Second time he scored a touchdown. So if he gets traded again, you're starting him that first game back, no matter how old he is or who he's playing.
No waiting period for Amari Cooper, but, you know, 10 guys with 10 extra yards does not equal one Stephon Diggs. As you said, an alpha in the room here does fill some of that void that was left behind in terms of that go-to guy in those types of moments. Supposed to be a go-to guy in San Francisco in the form of Brandon Ayuk after that holdout and the contract that followed. Now we fear we have seen the last of Brandon Ayuk this season, Jamey. It's feared to be an ACL. What does this mean to trickle down on a very talented personnel offensive grouping there in San Francisco?
So, I mean, usually what we've seen in the last couple of seasons, you know, certainly with Brock Purdy, is that when one guy is missing, the other two guys in the passing game step up. And so Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. Samuel clearly dealing with an illness today. Hopefully he'll be fine. Kittle's had a very strong season whenever everybody's been there or whenever someone has been missing. So I think you just look at Kittle as clearly a must-start tight end, but hopefully the best of Deebo Samuel is yet to come. Now we have two other receivers that we're going to be looking at. Juwan Jennings had the huge Week 3 game when both Deebo and Kittle were missing. And so he's now going to be somebody that you're looking at off the waiver wire. And their first-round pick, who finally played today, and Ricky Pearsall, didn't have a great performance, but was facing a really good defense. So he's going to be a little bit more of a lesser priority, I think, than Jennings, but someone you want to look to pick up. But really, I think this offense starts to get going once they get past their bye, because then Christian McCaffrey comes back, hopefully, and we see the best of this offense moving forward. But in the short term, this was just a bad matchup. Look, you had Jordan Mason banged up. You lose Ayuk in the course of the game. Deebo doesn't play the majority of the game. And the Chiefs' defense is going to be one of the best that they face all season long. So I'm not ready to say that Purdy is struggling or Kittle's going to be a bust or any of those things that you put a negative connotation to. I think they'll get some strong performances from Deebo, strong performances from Kittle. Mason will bounce back until McCaffrey is ready to go, and then we see just who steps up in the absence of Ayuk. But just it's a tough situation, you know, to lose a player like that. Like you said, he finally got his contract. He was off to a slow start, but now you're not going to see him hopefully pick things up until we get back to the 2025 campaign, if in fact the news is what we fear.
Yeah, unfortunate news there for the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk. You mentioned Christian McCaffrey still dealing with that tendinitis around his Achilles tendons in that calf area, trying to obviously avoid any sort of blunt force issue, any sort of injury that could cost him the time that Deshaun Watson is now looking at with what is believed to be a ruptured Achilles tendon. It's an interesting one because it's an offense that was woefully underperforming behind that offensive line, no matter who the quarterback or position players are. But is this in an odd way an upgrade for some of the names on that Cleveland offense, maybe specific to the run game?
You hope so, you know, and look, to be fair, Watson got off to a strong start today. It was the first time he had 4 of his 5 offensive linemen healthy, had his running back healthy. You know, they lose Amari Cooper, but, you know, you thought there'd be some pieces around Watson that can maybe help him moving forward with Jerry Jeudy and what we saw today from Cedric Tillman. And so in the absence of Watson, I'm curious what they're going to do. Are they going to turn to Winston? Are they going to go to DTR and give, you know, Dorian Thompson-Robinson the opportunity to start? I would hope it'd be Winston, because we know what he is for fantasy. He's not going to play without mistakes, but those opportunities that happen for his receiving core because he likes to take chances could be immense. And so if it is Well, first off, no matter who the quarterback is, you saw David Njoku have a big performance today. So without Cooper, just on that fact alone, losing the top wide receiver, tight end steps up, he's going to be a must-start tight end rest of season. And I think Cedric Tillman's worth adding off the waiver wire, mostly in deeper leagues. But if it's Jameis, he's going to have a little bit more of a attention and a higher ceiling moving forward. But this is really, I think, the start of what the Browns need to figure out. Because if this is a long-term injury, as we fear, do they have Deshaun Watson even in 2025? And so I don't think Winston's a long-term answer, but did they decide, okay, we're now going to try and maybe tank and go into the draft and find the eventual quarterback that we need? This contract has been awful. Watson's been a huge bust, and now they just don't have to deal with the headache anymore with him not being there. So hopefully the best is yet to come for some of these Browns pass catchers.
Yeah, that contract certainly clouding what the future might look like for these Cleveland Browns or keeping them from moving towards it. We'll see what they look like in the absence now of a ruptured Achilles tendon in Deshaun Watson. Tua Tagovailoa, it could be making a return here in Week 8, Week 9. Looking forward, it seems to be inevitable or imminent, I should say, rather, for Tua Tagovailoa. Is it just we flip the Tua switch and all of a sudden Tyreek Hill is wide receiver 1 again? Jalen Waddle slots into that teen area. Do we just assume that things are going to be business as usual in this Mike McDaniel offense?
I think you have to. You know, it's a tough situation. Clearly, that Tua's coming back, multiple concussions, but it's not a shoulder, it's not a knee, it's not something that is going to physically, you know, impair him from doing the things that he's capable of doing. You just hope he doesn't take any more hits and has to miss any more time. So with Tua back, yes, right now you should be in your league. If you are undefeated, 1 loss, 2 losses, have a above 500 record, and you're looking at the Tyreek Hill manager and the Jalen Waddle manager that has 1 win or 2 wins but is still trying to compete, you should be offering something significant that you don't need but will help that manager, and you can get Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle on your team. Because like you said, they flipped the Tua switch and the best is yet to come. Tyreek becomes top 5 again. Jalen Waddle becomes top 20 again. And we saw what these guys were doing at the beginning of the season. We saw what they did last year. We saw what they've done as this trio has been together for the majority of the last 2+ seasons. So that's the hope, you know, and we hope to see Tua in Week 8. And I thought that the Dolphins had the perfect game plan today. Run the ball, try and see if you can limit the Colts offense, which you knew was down Jonathan Taylor, their best offensive weapon, and a struggling Anthony Richardson. And they had the perfect plan in place. It just failed. You know, Mostert's fumble led to a touchdown for Tyler Goodson, and they couldn't recover offensively afterwards. So Devon Achane's a good buy low candidate. Even Raheem Mostert's a good buy low candidate. The best of the Dolphins is yet to come, and we hope to see Tua back in Week 8.
It was 0 targets in the first half for both Hill and Waddle. They finished the game, I believe, with 2 combined receptions for right around 20 or so yards. We hope we can flip that Tua switch and that Tua can remain in good health moving forward for all the excitement that he brings to that offense and to this game. Let's take it to where we started on this day, jolly old London, as we put a finishing touch on the London series. It was Tank Bigsby showing up and showing out, the young receiver as well, doing his thing in Brian Thomas Jr. on the outside. But let's focus on Tank here. Is that a depth chart altering performance we saw out of the running back there? Is Travis Etienne even in good health, deferring to Tank's Bigsby moving forward?
I think what we were starting to see was Bigsby becoming the first and second down guy, and Etienne becoming the passing down, change of pace type of option. And it kind of makes sense with how these guys are built and how they've been running. Etienne just has not been getting the job done the way that Bigsby was. You go back 3 games ago, 7 for 90 against the Texans. That's a good run defense. He ran right through them. The win that they had to start, their first win of the season against the Colts, he goes for over 100 yards rushing. You see what he does today in a win against New England. Granted, he beat up on the Colts and the Patriots, 2 very bad run defenses. So just take that into account. Etienne probably not healthy, dealing with the shoulder injury for multiple weeks. But I think just what's best for their offense right now is to put those guys in sort of specific roles and maybe allow Etienne to work his way back to getting more opportunities on first and second down, and maybe see if Tank Bigsby catch the ball a little bit, and then you have a more multifaceted backfield. But for right now, Tank Bigsby is the running back you want in Jacksonville. It's kind of like what we saw prior to Sean Tucker emerging last week, where Bucky Irving was sort of taking over the Tampa Bay backfield. Sometimes these younger running backs that are eager to prove themselves and get those chances, they take over those jobs, and that's what's happening, I think, in Jacksonville right now.
Jamey Eisenberg always got us covered on the fantasy front. Jamey, we appreciate your insight as always. For more from Jamey Eisenberg, be sure to download, subscribe, and enjoy Fantasy Football Today. Jamey, Pete Cummings, Adam Azer, Dave Richard. We got a roster, and that roster has depth. They bring you all the latest news and notes, what you need to win the waiver wire, and each and every week. You want to win with us on Fantasy Football Today.